Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be talking about the release, quote-unquote, of the Epstein Files. Unfortunately, there is nothing good that I can say about what has transpired over the last, 36 hours at this point, right? Now, one of the major things that we've heard over the last few days with the new administration, the Trump administration coming in, all the new handpicked people coming in to lead places like the FBI, all the new intelligence agencies, all these different areas of government, we were finally going to get some transparency. And one of the big things we were going to get a finally transparent release on, quote unquote, was the Epstein Files. So I'm going to go ahead and operate under the assumption that you know who Jeffrey Epstein was and what he did, and the fact that he probably did not kill himself. But unfortunately, what took place yesterday, I think, was probably one of the most embarrassing failures that could possibly happen when it comes to something like this. I mean, like I said, people were expecting that the Epstein Files would just be released. That's what the American people want. We've wanted it for years. We just want to know who was involved, what was going on. And it's not like the people in charge don't know. The government knows what happened. They have all these files. They're trying to claim now that, the New York section of the FBI didn't comply. They didn't send all the files, things like that. Now, I'm going to address all of that in this video because I think there's a whole lot of cope going on with people when it comes to what happened yesterday. So we did get quote-unquote Epstein Files released yesterday. However, it was absolutely nothing that we expected. In fact, it was basically a staged photo op for conservative influencers to go to the White House, where they were given a binder full of shit that basically everybody already knew. All we really got yesterday was the flight logs of who went to Epstein's island. It doesn't necessarily prove guilt just to be on the files there. Obviously, people were expecting the true files, who was actually involved, what they were doing, how many victims, things like that, right? Well, that's not at all what we got. So this photo represents basically entirely what you need to know about what happened yesterday. So all of these people who got this Phase 1 Epstein file binder were all conservative influencers. So it were people who more or less identify with the right wing, which makes sense to a degree because Trump is in office. But at the same time, people were expecting that if this was going to be released, it would just be released. We don't really need partisan influencers taking photo ops with what are supposed to be extremely sensitive files of very viciously detailed, disgusting information about how the elites have been operating in this child sex trafficking ring. But basically, this was the event of yesterday. There was nothing in these files that was really worth our time. They were heavily redacted, of course, and it was basically a nothing burger, just like I think we all should have expected. Now, ideally, if we were going to be releasing something about something so tragic and disgusting and so vile, we don't get a bunch of fucking Twitter influencers together to drop the bombshell. How about maybe we just release it, considering the government literally has fucking websites for every single agency and department? We couldn't just put these files out online for people to fucking sift through themselves. I mean, we're talking about transparency. We only get one side of the aisle's influencers to go to the White House so they can take a big fucking photo op gleefully with files that would honestly change the world if they came out. Now, unfortunately, it only got worse from here. People were almost immediately pissed about this entire thing. I think rightfully so, because this is just a complete sham. This did nothing. It showed nobody nothing. It didn't prove anything to anybody. All it really did was serve to benefit these influencers who went to this event. Unfortunately, not an event we should be fucking doing an influencer press run with here. Now, it got worse because the actual US government, they did what realistically should have been done from the jump, and they decided to post a little tweet here. Now, of course, this tweet is now deleted because literally every single fucking person who saw this and responded to it was cooking them. So the House Judiciary GOP official government Twitter account tweeted out breaking Epstein Files released, and then it's a tiny URL link, basically baiting people into thinking that they just released digital files on the Epstein Files for people to read. Keep in mind, this is not some NBA Centel or fucking Optimus Twitter account having fun. This is a legitimate government taxpayer-funded Twitter account here. Now, this tiny URL on this deleted tweet now, it actually didn't contain any files at all. It contained a redirect to Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. So a legitimate government Twitter account decided that it was a good idea to lie about releasing the Epstein Files for people to go through, and instead decided to fucking troll them with a 20-year-old internet meme. Now, like I said, the response to this tweet was not good in the slightest. I mean, you can see the ratio on this archive, okay? And keep in mind, this went on much longer than this until the tweet was actually just full out fucking deleted. But at this point, we have seen the government, and more particularly the House Judiciary GOP, these right-wing influencers, the administration, shit like that, right? They've turned this all into a goofing, guffawing joke. And keep in mind, the goofing, guffawing joke here is, oh, you wanted to see the files about the child sex trafficking ring that all your favorite celebrities and politicians partook in? Well, how about this internet meme? I don't know about you guys, but I don't want my tax dollars funding this stupid shit here. I mean, we're talking about, the Trump administration's talking about we need to cut unnecessary spending, we need to fucking cut all this stupid shit out and save the taxpayers money. How is this saving anyone any money? How is this doing anyone any good? This is just honestly fucking stupid. And the person who tweeted this out should be fired, okay? I typically don't call for shit like that. I don't call for people's jobs, but there was nothing funny about this. There was nothing productive about it. And all it has served to do is make people more distrustful of the current administration. What exactly does anyone benefit from this? Do you think that this is a laughing matter? Do you think this is supposed to be funny? Do you think that we think this is funny? This is information that would genuinely radically transform society, like the opinions that people have. The amount of people who could be implicated in this disgusting act. I mean, just from the flight logs, we saw people like the Clintons, we saw President Donald Trump, we saw basically any celebrity you can think of, any actor, actress, whatever, including people like Kevin Spacey, who have already been accused of some pretty odd shit off the side cuff, right? But everyone obviously is scratching their head, why? Why would this happen? Now, I think I have an answer. I don't like to be the conspiracy guy too often, but this is one of those instances where it's very obvious, like, there is a cover-up going on here. There always has been a cover-up going on here. The odds that we know the true extent of the Epstein Files ever is pretty much zero. Now, obviously, with all of these rich socialites, these elites, these politicians, these celebrities who are obviously funding both political parties, all of them being implicated in something like this, it's kind of poisoning the well in a way for the government to come out and just openly tell people what's going on. You're basically spitting in the face of yourself and all your other friends and all these other people who were obviously involved in all this shit. And the truth is, like I said, we're never gonna know the full extent. We're never gonna know how many probably children were involved in this, how many fucking people that you know and care about were involved in this, right? You're never gonna know because there is no benefit for the general public to know in the eyes of the government and the people in control. There is no benefit in these people essentially snitching on themselves and everybody else. I feel like if we ever get any real files, the majority of this shit is just gonna be redacted. It's gonna be played around like a fucking game by the government, by all these people. They're basically dangling the truth in your face at this point by a string, and then when you try to reach for it, they pull it up and cackle. That's what's going on. We're all being played like fucking idiots, and I don't personally appreciate it. I'm sure many of you don't as well. Now, I just want to point this out, and I think this is a very interesting point here, okay? Now, they're claiming that, oh, the FBI, they're not cooperating in certain sects of the FBI. They don't want to assist the GOP and the Republicans in publishing this information. They don't want to help Trump's picks like Patel and all them do their jobs and whatever, right? Now, while I can kind of believe that to a certain extent, this is the US federal government. I mean, we put how many trillions of dollars into military and law enforcement and the rule of law and all this other shit. And what I find funny is, obviously the government knows who did all this shit. They know who is implicated in all these crimes. And notice how there's not been any raids. They're not raiding anyone's house. They're not kicking in any doors. They're not arresting anybody in plain sight. They're not being transparent about what they plan to do. They're not even utilizing the tools in their toolbox that the taxpayers fund for them to go seek justice in this instance. But what I will note is if they think you may have sawed your shotgun barrel an inch too short, or they think maybe that you're hoarding something against the law, or they think maybe you said something online that they dislike, fucking federal agents will show up at your door. They suddenly can figure it out when it's, somebody on their own fucking private property. They can figure out, oh, well, gee, we can send the fucking guys in to raid that house. When it's your local drug dealer, not saying that they shouldn't be arrested, they somehow find a way to get the FBI or the SWAT team to kick their door in. Or if you have, like I said, your shotgun barrel sawed a little too short, or maybe you have a fucking attachment on your gun that they think isn't okay, or you said something online that may seem a little bit too like wrongthink, suddenly they know how to kick your front door in. Suddenly they know how to show up to your home. Suddenly they know how to use law enforcement to seek justice. But when it's some fucking $30 million socialite who has been trafficking and sleeping with children, with politicians, and with Hollywood actors, and with directors, and with people in control, all of a sudden they're at a bypass, guys. They don't know what they can do anymore. I mean, if it's not a 70-year-old man in his house that they can't corner and fuck with, I mean, gee, what can they really do now? All of a sudden, that whole government thing doesn't really seem to work out too well, right? Suddenly, all that law enforcement and all that badassery, somehow it goes out the door when it comes to that, right? Very weird how that works. They'll come fuck with you, they'll come fuck with your property, they'll come fuck with your family, they'll come fucking harass you in your domicile. But when the pedophiles are literally out and about gloating in your face about how they're not gonna release the info on each other, all of a sudden, hey, we're at a bypass here, guys. We're kind of landlocked. I don't know if we can get the FBI to cooperate with itself here. And I'm supposed to believe that this is just something that happened. It's not by design, there's no design to that at all. There's definitely no planning involved in any of this. So if I had to assume what was going on here, they're probably still working on redacting all of the actual information people want from these documents so they can inevitably release 20% of it. That way they can gloat about transparency and all this other bullshit, but there is no transparency. No matter how much of this shit they release, truth be told, it's all shit that should have came out like 10 years ago. It's all stuff that we should have known so long ago. I don't even know if Trump's first presidency was within the timeline we should have known this shit, right? There's never going to be the real answers to the questions, in my opinion, that we actually want. There's no benefit, there's no gain for any of these people to do so. In fact, they literally only lose from letting people know what's going on. Because, let's be real, it's too unpredictable to tell how people will react to this information, especially if they were to really know the full extent of what was going on here. I mean, it's just such a disgusting fucking situation in the first place. And then, of course, now it's being made a joke of by the people who claim to be transparent, the people who claim they have our best interests in mind. I don't know why we don't see this as a populace, right? They don't have our best interest in mind. The government does not serve us. They do not stand to gain anything from serving us, right? So when you see all of this happen in real time, it's just, it's insane. It really is. It's batshit crazy. But of course, to a degree, this is kind of what I'm assuming a lot of other people expected. So what an absolute shit show this Epstein File Phase 1 release has been. I hope that they figure it out and they do the right thing here, but I mean, let's be real, that's like 1% chance, if not less. That's just not gonna happen. So very unfortunate circumstances here, but yeah, like I said, I wanted to talk about this. So anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus talking about the Epstein File releases and signing out.